Coming to your seated posture, sitting in a chair, arms by your side, or cross legs, half lotus or full lotus, as you take that deep breath in through the belly, engaging the diaphragm as you fill up the lungs fully and completely, retaining the breath for a second or two, and then slowly exhale as you contract the ribs and let out the last bit of breath as you pull that belly button in towards the spine. Starting all over again, taking that deep breath in through the belly, retaining the breath, and slowly exhale. Allowing each breath to get heavier and heavier as you sink deeper into your personal meditation. Today we finish part 6 of Malcolm Gladwell's David and Goliath, Underdogs, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants. He starts with the principle of legitimacy. He says that legitimacy is based on 3 things. The people who are asked to obey authority have to feel like they have a voice, that if they speak up, they will be heard. The second is that the law has to be predictable. There has to be a reasonable expectation that the rules tomorrow are going to be roughly the same as the rules today. And third is that the authority has to be fair. You can't treat one group differently from another. Which takes us to New York, in the city of Brownsville, where crime had always remained above average despite surrounding areas lowering their crime rate. In 2003, a police officer named Joanne Jaffe took over as head of the city's housing bureau. The group was primarily responsible for the Brownsville projects. She decided to try something new. Jaffe began by making a list of all the juveniles in Brownsville who had been arrested at least once in the previous 12 months, which yielded 106 names. She then put together a task force and had them contact every name on the list. They were told they were in a program, and the program would give them a choice. She said, "We want to do everything we can to get you back in school, to help you get a high school diploma, to bring services to your family, and find out what is needed in the household." She said, "We will provide job opportunity, educational opportunity, medical, everything we can. We want to work with you, but the criminal conduct has to stop. And if it doesn't stop, and if you get arrested for anything, we're going to do everything to keep you in jail." Her task force put together maps of the individuals and their friends using Facebook and other social medias to check for gang affiliation. She said she had people out there 24/7. She didn't care how late it was. She said there had to be consequences. This wasn't the only part of Jaffe's strategy. She spent a lot of time finding the right kind of officer to serve on the task force. She had to find a cop that loved kids and didn't have an ounce of negativity about them, and had the ability to sway kids and push them in the right direction. That person was Dave Glasper. Jaffe also wanted to meet the families, but after several failed attempts, a breakthrough occurred in November. Dave said that he and the guys had bought one family a Thanksgiving dinner. He said that they did it because even though they knew they were going to lose the older one, there were 7 other children behind him. Jaffe got funds to buy turkeys for all the other families. Upon delivering each turkey, she would say the same thing: I know sometimes you can hate the police. I understand all that. But I just want you to know, as much as it seems that we're harassing you by knocking on your door, we really do care, and we really do want you to have a happy Thanksgiving. Jaffe really wanted to meet the families because she believed that the police was not perceived as legitimate in Brownsville. Across the U.S., and an astonishing number of black men have spent time in prison. For example, 69% of black male high school dropouts born in the late 1970s have done time behind bars. Brownsville is a neighborhood full of black male high school dropouts, which means every one of those juveniles on Jaffe's list would have had a brother or a father or a cousin who had served time. If that many people in your life had served time, does the law seem fair anymore? Does it seem predictable? Does it seem like you can speak up and be heard? Jaffe's speech to the families was a plea for legitimacy. After Thanksgiving, she started a toy drive for Christmas, helped the kids get summer jobs, started a basketball league, and had dinners for the juvies and their families. The results? Between 2006 and 2011, robberies went down 77%. What Jaffe proved is that those who give order are acutely vulnerable to the opinions of those they are ordering about. Power has an important limitation. It has to be seen as legitimate. The excessive use of force used by the Nazis created a legitimacy problem in the 40s, and a legitimacy problem leads to defiance, as seen in a little town in France called Les Chambaux, not submission. When France fell to the Germans, they started rounding up the French Jews with the help of the French. The town believed that owe no one anything except to love one another, for he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law. New Testament book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 8. By 1943, when they were rounding up thousands of Jews, a letter was drafted to the minister advising that Les Chambaux had Jews and that they were not getting them, in so many words, adding that they made no distinctions between Jews and non-Jews. It was not the privileged and the fortunate who took in the Jews in France. It was the marginal and the damaged, which should remind us that there are real limits to what evil and misfortune can accomplish. If you take away the gift of reading, you create the gift of listening. You see the giant and the shepherd in the valley of Eli, and your eye is drawn to the man with the sword and shield and the glittering armor. But so much of what is beautiful and vulnerable in the world comes from the shepherd who has more strength and purpose than we ever imagined. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, nod your head right to left. Taking a deep breath in through the nose. As you slowly exhale and gently open your eyes. Namaste.